Exactly 15 days to go, and in the run-up to the national and provincial elections that's set to take place on the 29th of this month, we continue to engage youth structures of the various political parties on how they can ensure that young voices in elections and governance are actually heard. Now, with the young people still facing major challenges like unemployment, crime, drug abuse, social discontent and continuing poverty, why is it crucial for the youth especially to participate in this upcoming election? So to help us discuss this, we're joined here in studio by the Inkatha Freedom Party's Youth Brigade National Secretary Mlungisi Mabaso, and joining us virtually from the Freedom Front Plus is their National Youth Leader Chriszaan du Plessis. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us here on Morning Live. I want to start by just, talking to the youth and this upcoming election by way of numbers, Chriszaan and Mlungisi. So if we look at the voting age population in terms of how many people are actually eligible as opposed to how many people have actually registered and will give themselves a chance to vote, this is what the 2024 stats are telling us. So if we look at the age group 18 to 19, the voting age population is 2,032,272, and of that, certified voters roll number is 550,687. That's 18 to 19-year-olds. 20 to 29-year-olds, 9,073,863 voting age population, and the voters roll has 4,408,139 voters. So I think you get the sense of where I'm going with this. There is a very huge discrepancy in terms of the youth, and the question is, why? What have you found in your analysis in working the ground in the youth that you have tried to touch, why they feel that they shouldn't, take this more seriously in terms of registering to vote and maybe even coming out on the day to cast a ballot? Let's start with you, Mlungisi.
No, thank you very much. Greetings to yourself, to the viewers, and to my colleague from Freedom Front Plus. The youth in this country, they've lost hope, with all the attempts that they've made, to be involved, in government programs, with their expectation as well from the government, where the government has not been able to respond and attend to the issues that they face on a daily basis. You look at the issues of unemployment, you're looking at issues of crime, you're looking at the crisis, with our education system. So young people, have really lost hope that government will ever be able to attend and address the issues that they are facing. But Shakina, we also need to appreciate those young people, that have taken, that initiative, to put their name on the voters roll, so that at least they are part of those that decide the future of this country. And we're happy with the turnout, of the young people during the last voter registration, because they did go on, on voting stations to register themselves. The turnout was not really the one that we had all expected, but they did come in their numbers, to register their names on the voter roll, so that come 29 May, at least they are part of those that will decide the future of this country.
Chriszaan, I'd love to hear your view on this, because if we're talking between the ages of 20 and 29, less than 50% of the voting age population actually captured on the voters roll, surely that's a problem.
Yes, definitely. I think everyone would agree that there is a quite big problem under the youth. I think, however, that we need voter education under the youth. I think that's a big thing. I don't think a lot of youth really understands that their voice can be heard at the end of the day when they vote. They can become part of the solution that we want to see in South Africa at the end of the day. Currently, I have to say, I think it is good that there is a few people or a few of the youth that has stand up and said, you know what, I'm going to make a change this election. We hear about 28, 29-year-olds voting for the first time, and we've been having problems in South Africa for the past 10 years. So I think the youth are at this point not where they should be, not involved as they should be. I think, like I said, there's voter education needed. And also from the political parties, I think we have quite a big role to fill there to ensure that the youth of South Africa understand that their vote really do matter and that they have a place in South Africa at the end of the day. They have a place to say their say, to say what the problems are. Like, for instance, he just said with regards to unemployment, we should have a say to how we should have a solution to that. So it's sad that we don't have more youth that are currently part of the voter role, if I can say it like that. But I think we have made some strides in that sense. I think the youth are really understanding that we need change at this time and place. So, yeah.
So if we look at the voting age population vis-a-vis who appears on the voters' roll, and we talk about political parties who, through their youth establishments, of which the two of you are leaders, do you think it's an indictment on you as political parties that young people are not seeing hope for their future? They obviously are not resonating in great numbers with what political parties are offering by way of solution. How would you respond to that, Mlungisi?
Well, the issue is that, you know, South Africa has been under one-party dominance, which is the African National Congress. And all the mistakes that happened in government, you know, young people and you know, the population in general, you know, they tend to blame all political parties, you know, painting us with the same brush, you know, thinking that the mistakes of the ANC are mistakes of the other political parties. And you know, that's what makes it difficult when you go out to campaign where people say, but politicians are not doing enough to address our challenges. And the reality is that, you know, there is not much that you can do when you are in the opposition, because you only make noise, but you do not take decisions and you do not implement, you know, programs in government structures, and that is the problem. But on our cases, the IFP, I mean, we've done quite a lot of work in terms of mobilizing young people, and that's why even in most of our events, you will see majority of those that are in attendance are young people. Majority of our membership now in the party, it's young people and the women in particular, and so that tells you that the IFP is heading towards the right direction. I mean, if you look at our membership, because our membership system is able to tell you, you know, if this person is fall under the category of youth, if this person is a woman, or if this person is an elder. So you will see in our membership that most of the members in the party are young people. Most of the people that are attending are actually young people, because we are starting now, you know, to mobilize young people so that at least they are able to be part of those that want to change the status quo in the country. And the voter education that she was referring to, my colleague, you know, we are, you know, trying to make people to understand that the mistakes of the ANC are not the mistakes of the IFP. And if they are tired with the status quo, then they must join hands with us to change the government so that at least we are able to put in the right government that will address the issues that they face on daily basis.
All right, let's listen to your solutions then. Let's start with unemployment, Chriszaan. What is the solution that the Freedom Front Plus proposes for young people as far as the unemployment crisis is concerned?
Well, I think the first thing that we have to acknowledge is the fact that our economy needs to be grown. That is really a big problem. And once the economy is on a growing state, then there will be more jobs at the end of the day. So the FF Plus are proposing to, for instance, abolish policies such as Black economic empowerment and affirmative action, seeing that these policies aren't working and they are hindering job creation at the end of the day. If you look at, let's say, different businesses within South Africa that can provide jobs, even people wanting to start their own jobs, we have labor legislation that are really stringent on the people at the end of the day. So I think that's another thing that the FF Plus are saying. Let's stop with all these over-regulations to ensure that more jobs get created. And then, obviously, at the end of the day, we need to ensure that we have an education system that really leads up to people that can go into, or to young people that can go into a job at the end of the day. So the FF Plus are also saying, let's give mother tongue education from the lowest level up until the highest level to ensure that when we go into the workforce as young people, that we are ready and that we understand what that will entail. So those are some of the three core issues that the FF Plus are saying, let's do this, to ensure that the economy can grow, to ensure at the end of the day that job creation can come forth out of that.
Do you agree with that, Mlungisi? Take the question of broad-based economic empowerment, for example, that the Freedom Front Plus says should be done away with. Do you agree with that as the IFP?
Well, I think the ANC implemented it the wrong way because it only benefited those that are actually the members of the ANC, those are the close allies of the ANC. But the concept and the principle is not wrong. I mean, we do need to empower those that, from disadvantaged communities, those that were oppressed, those that did not have, those opportunities in the past. So we need to have policies, that empowers them, that supports them, because the reality is that, I will take, for example, the business people in townships, where they find it very difficult, to grow and expand their businesses. So you need initiatives, that supports, those businesses so that they are able to grow and assist, in terms of growth, in terms of job creation and economic growth. So you cannot abolish, the policy in a way, but the only thing that you can do is to change, the approach and how the policy has been implemented, because it is meant, to empower and benefits, those that had not had privilege previously, to be, involved in businesses and to see, their businesses growing so that they are able to contribute meaningfully in the economic growth and the job creation in this country.
And the devil, as they say, is in the detail. And I think, perhaps, just perhaps, this is where the wheels start coming off and why young people feel that they are not heard. Because in speaking to them, listening to the solutions that the two of you have just offered with regard to unemployment, youth unemployment in the country, do you think you've convinced youth watching this program right now that you actually have a solution as the IFP Youth Brigade, as the Freedom Front Plus? I'm going to ask you to think about that as we take a break. And of course, we're going to come back and we welcome your questions as well for our guests this morning. From the Freedom Front Plus, we have the National Youth Leader, Chriszaan du Plessis, and the Inkatha Freedom Party this morning, represented by the Youth Brigade National Secretary, Mlungisi Mabaso. Let us know your thoughts. Welcome back. Continuing our youth focus as we count down to Election Day here in South Africa. And of course, this morning we are joined by the Freedom Front Plus's Chriszaan du Plessis, and from the Inkatha Freedom Party, we have Mlungisi Mabaso. So we asked our viewers to also send us some questions, comments they may have for you, just to get a sense of where they are at and what they would like to know from you. So let's take a look at some of those comments in terms of why young people are abstaining from voting. What are some of the dangers? They talk about accountability or the lack thereof. Here's Bethuel, who says, as Youth Brigade, what is it that you could improve if your mother body does happen to run the government? Moreover, the youth are faced with challenges of unemployment and the age barrier when it comes to employability. Now, what should be an NSC pass rate to enhance the chances of being skilled? Let's give that one to you, Mlungisi.
Okay, no, thank you very much. I think, one, the Youth Brigade in the IFP has a voice. We're part of those that drafted the manifesto. And in our manifesto, we took most of the things that the IFP was able to do when we were governing the province of KwaZulu-Natal and the actual government when Umntwana Kapilangene was the chief minister. And we were able to influence that in our policy document and in our party manifesto. We talked to the issues of illegal migration in the country, on how the South Africans can access those job opportunities that are currently occupied by illegal immigrants in this country, and what skill should be sourced out from foreign countries, and what should be the process of the skills transfer. So that is in our policy manifesto, in our policy document, and also in our manifesto. We are talking about the industrialization. If you go to KwaZulu-Natal, all the district economic activities, and it's something that the IFP was able to do, and it's something that the IFP is offering, and it's something that the IFP can still do once it's afforded an opportunity to govern. You know, the IFP
the pass
also
rate, NSC?
it talked to the 50%. We are taking back to 50%, and the reason for that is because we want to have education system, you know, that provides skills. We want to have the you know, young people that are able to compete, you know, even at the global community. We want young people that are able to compete there as well. Yeah.
Let's take a look at a few more of those questions coming through. Khabuniwe says, good morning, family. They not beyond doubt. They must facilitate dialogue between young people and senior political leaders, creating spaces for young people to interact with decision makers and to build trust across generations is of vital importance. And then let's just take one more. Here's one from Boniseni who says, good morning, Sakina, Leanne. I don't think they are doing enough for the youth, but just because young people, many use them for their campaign and promise them a lot of things, that's not going to happen. So let's listen to Lizanne on that one with regard to the intergenerational conversations that need to take place about youth problems.
Well, firstly, I would say I think that is one of the main reasons why I'm at the FF Plus as a youth leader there, because the leaders within the FF Plus and the more old people, they do really interact with us young people to understand what the needs of the young people are. Apologies for that. And I think that comes to the second X there was, at the end of the day, the youth needs to be part of the conversation to contribute to the solution. In 20 years' time, the youth needs to be there and needs to know what the problems were in that time to ensure that the problems don't come back at the end of the day. So for me personally, I think 100% we have to have more conversations, even within the different political youth parties or the youth under each other. It's very important. For instance, something small just happened a few minutes ago. I was talking, for instance, about affirmative action, and due to not having enough time or not having the conversation in depth, my main reason for bringing up, for instance, the affirmative action was to more put the focus on, for instance, socio-economic problems that people are facing. In South Africa currently, I think a lot of the conversations, whether it's youth or of the older generation, it's always about the race. And I think we as South Africans or we as youth need to come together and talk about the problems, talk about the solutions, but also with the older generations. I think that's something that's really predominantly in the youth at this stage, where they feel they are just being used for campaigns and for photos and this and that, and we need to get them there where the decisions are making. But with that being said, I don't believe, and the FF Plus don't believe in quotas, putting someone just there because they are a young person, and when they have a seat at the table, then all of a sudden youth voices will be heard, because that's also not just going to happen. We really need to stand up and become part of the conversation.
All right, you've got 30 seconds each. Just to give us your parting shot and why young people should consider voting for the IFP and the Freedom Front Plus. Mlungisi?
Well, with the IFP, we've been into government before. We are governing municipalities in KZN. We are part of the executive in Tshwane Metro. And the IFP has experience in government. I mean, the things that we are alluding to into our manifesto is the things that we had previously initiated. I mean, we know how to deal with issues of unemployment. We know how to to take young people to participate in the economic, activities. We have, we had the best education system in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
That's your half minute. Lizanne?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to get rid of the ANC. The ANC has proven in the past 30 years that they are not capable of running this company. Corruption is a big problem, something that needs to be addressed. And the FF Plus is there with a building plan to really restore and rebuild South Africa. So from my side, I would really want to encourage all youth members and everyone in South Africa to go and vote on all 3 ballot papers to ensure that we really do get change. And remember to vote FF Plus.
Well, that's where we have to leave it for this morning. Freedom Front Plus National Youth Leader Chriszaan du Plessis and Inkatha Freedom Party Youth Brigade National Secretary Mlungisi Mabaso speaking to us about youth engagement in elections and participating in politics in South Africa. And this, of course, as we count down 15 days to go before we go to the polls here in South Africa.